Good morning, my neighbours!
Well, good morning, you sexy mother hubbards. It's time for an alternative paper review. First up, who remembers this from the Daily Express? Confident Rishi, I'll be PM for years. Or how about when it was reported in the Huffington Post, with Rishi Sunak absolutely confident he will win the next GE? I personally really like the expression on his face there. Like there's just the right amount of pain in his face. I am confident. I really think I am. Well, if you remember those stories, that interview, now let me take your attention over to this morning's Daily Mirror. Tories poll humiliation on the run. Amazing. Conservative support falls to 20%, their lowest ever rating, as government's huge failure on household income is revealed. So basically, people are feeling the pinch, and they're feeling the pinch more progressively, month by month. Wages are falling behind food inflation. Energy bills are still high. Mortgages and rents still exploding. And for some weird reason, guys, the Conservative Party's campaigning headquarters, CCHQ, well, their strategy of making a mountain out of a molehill with the Greek marble statues, and then what was the other one? Labour have no plan, and if you don't have a plan, then you can't blah, 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 blah. That repeated ad nauseum, plus all the stop the boats nonsense. Basically, when the general public are being asked, when they're being polled, do you think the Conservatives have got it in them to solve the challenges that you are faced with? They're looking at their wallets, their bank accounts, their bills, and they're going, I don't really care about boats coming across the channel. I care about my mortgage. And so, yeah, basically, for all of the Greg Hands doing their Keir Starmer flip-flops bit, or, Liz Truss's conspiracy theories, or Rishi Sunak's successive factory resets, all of them have been abysmal failures, campaigning-wise. None of them have worked. Nothing is shifting the dial. Which brings me to my next question. When on earth is this general election going to be? A lot of people in my sort of activist circles are saying, look, the polls are this bad, are they? Okay, well, it's probably going to be announced any day now. While others, equally say, if the polls are this bad, there's no way they would call it GE, that they would be massacred at. For me, though, personally, I don't know. I'm just enjoying this poll. That's what I'm doing. I'm enjoying the poll. It is propelling tadpoles into the threads of my boxers. It should have its own genre on RedTube. Next up to the Mail. Vicars in uproar. Oh my God. I'm terrified. Vicars in uproar over Church's £1 billion slavery reparations. This is a story that the Church of England, who have benefited historically, traditionally, from the slave trade. This is backed up by academics, by history books. We know that it's happened, okay? So the Church of England as an institution are trying to address that. And they were advised that a figure of about £1 billion could be used and then allocated to certain, support initiatives to kind of right that wrong. Now, obviously, the Mail, being, the right-wing, pseudo-religious hate pamphlet that it is, they really don't like the idea of reparations for slavery. The idea that white people, or that Christians, they even describe it in this piece as an attack on Christians. Like, imagine if your great-great-great-great-grandfather was snatched away from his family by some rich white guy, stuffed on a ship, sold off somewhere. The rich white guy, through generations, his family have got richer and richer, and now they own, Kent. So he's got richer and richer. Meanwhile, you and your family, you're still reckoning with the repercussions of what happened to your ancestors now, and you're struggling. Imagine those two, that dynamic. And then the Daily Mail have the gall to go well, you don't want to give money to that guy, do you? This is an attack on Christians, on the church. We didn't do anything. We don't deserve this. Why have we got to pay? It's so back to front, fingers in ears, generations deep ignorance and racism. You could call it racism, couldn't you? Because you're ignoring the plight and the repercussions of the abuse that you have visited upon other people in ethnic minorities. You're ignoring that to focus on your own situation and amplify or perpetuate your own privilege. That is what you're doing.
Oh, now what the fuck is this shit?
Over to the Times now. Tories divided over new definition of extremism. Well, yeah. Presumably because a few of them will end up having to jail themselves. And finally to the Telegraph. Lord's Rwanda rebels are on the side of smugglers. Are they, though? Are they? Really? Or do you think they're just trying to scrutinise the bill as it's made its way up to the Lords? Do you think that's more likely? I mean, personally, I would say if you closed these safe routes and processing centres and sent the asylum seekers into the arms of the smugglers and into the small boats, maybe it's you that's on the side of the smugglers. Also in the Telegraph, scrapping non-dom tax perk will drive out the wealthy. Oh no! Oh, what are we going to do without these few billionaires? Like, I don't know if you guys have ever noticed it, but when we left the EU, there was a lot of us on the Remain side who were like, what are we going to do for workers? What are we going to do? Like, think of all the immigrants that come into the UK and all the jobs that they do. How are we going to replace them? How are we going to get enough vets? How are we going to get enough nurses to staff the NHS? And the clapback was always the same. It's like, well, we'll just find them. We'll just employ British vets and more British nurses. We'll find them somehow. And yet, when the shoe is on the other foot, it's like, yeah, we want to put a slightly fairer tax system in place. Oh, you can't do that. The millionaires will leave. Well, can't we just find new millionaires? Oh, no, absolutely not. The millionaires are irreplaceable. Guys, that's it for this one. Don't be a stranger. Join me tonight. There'll be a brand new episode of the podcast live at 7:30 on YouTube. Make sure you liked, subscribed. If you want to leave me a little tip in the tip cup, super thanks thing, great. Or join the YouTube community or Patreon, etc., etc. Peace.